Ben Katzman, 31, musician, teacher.
What do you teach mainly?
I'm kind of like the real life Jack Black.
Yeah, Dewey Black.
Dewey Finn, Schneeblay, if you will.
Yeah.
I teach how to play guitar, and I teach student rock bands.
All right, well, shout out to Mike White if he's listening.
I know. It's like the thought that he might is intense.
So I was reading about this in your bio. So you started as like a producer, and then you pivoted to becoming a teacher?
No, I had a moment in time where I ran a label out of my dorm room, and I helped start a few of my friends' careers, and went further than I expected.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is music something you've always wanted to work in?
I think so. I mean, I know music's always been a big part of my life. Like, I was asked this a few weeks ago, but when's the first time like you knew music hit? And it was like the Power Rangers theme, you know? So
I mean, that's some slamming guitar, you know?
Yeah. But being like 3 years old, it was being like, yes!
Interesting. So was there a particular moment that made you say like, all right, I'm ready to like move on to teach, you know, to impart my skills onto others?
Definitely not. I never wanted to be a teacher. I had a bunch of teachers who were not positive role models, I would say. No disrespect, but I think, you know, we live in this time where like spirituality is more common, and I think my approach to teaching is more emotional than it is technical.
Interesting.
You know, and so I just became the teacher I never had, and not saying I didn't have good teachers, but I fell into teaching. I kind of had like a quarter-life crisis, if you will, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this grind anymore, and so I like quit everything and worked at Whole Foods, and like just was like graveyard shift, no connect to the outside, and then my friend opened a music school and was like, would you like to teach? And I had so much hesitancy.
Yeah.
And then, you know, my first student that I had, I still have now. It's a few years later, and you know, it rips.
Yeah.
I love it.
Are you excited for your students to eventually watch you become the Survivor player?
To be honest, that's probably one of the main things that was like, all right, you got to do this.
Interesting.
You know, I definitely had some hesitancy because, you know, it's like life could change. Do I really want to starve? Do I really want to like be deceived, you know?
Yeah.
And then it was like I had my student recitals last week, and you know, I always think about like if I could get anything across in my teaching is just like approach your music or whatever you do as yourself. Like there's a million Metallicas and Beatles and whatever, you know, be you. And in the recitals, there was a moment where that really came across, and I was like, okay, you know, like I was like, I got to like, hey, I'm going to do it for myself for sure, but I want to do it for my students too, you know?
Well, what got you on that path to begin with? What made you believe that like your next song to play was one of Survivor by Eye of the Tiger?
Funnily enough, one of my first musical obsessions was the Rocky soundtrack. Rocky 3 specifically. And yeah, that even now on the island, I have like a bunch of like mixtapes with like movie quotes interspersed in it, and like I got like Eye of the Tiger, I got Sam's speech from The Two Towers, I got The Ecstasy of Gold from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But I don't know what was like. The long story short is I've been getting hit up to do some reality TV stuff.
Okay,
and
interesting.
I was just like, because I know I'm a character, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I always avoided those things because they're always scripted, and they're always like, feel like you're selling yourself if you're doing like a music one or something.
Right.
And but I was, every time I got offered one, I'd be like, I would do Survivor though.
Ain't no script out here, man. I'll tell you that.
I'm sure. And I was like, I would do Survivor. And then as I said no to one contract, the season 43 finale aired, and then there's a video of Jeff. It was like, if you think you got what it takes. And I was just like, I'm in this phase of my life where I'm trying not to like write the goals out and live some narrative that's beyond me. I'm trying to like let life write itself. And so it's like, screw it. I'll apply. Worst case, I don't do it.
Right.
And then, yeah.
And then best case.
And best case, hey, what's up? We're here. You
Yeah,
know?
well, you talk about watching the Survivor 43 finale. What's your history with the show? Are you a recent convert? Were you watching since back in the day?
You know, I'm a more recent convert, like 5-6 years or something like that. But I've binged a good chunk of the show.
Yeah.
You know, But I do remember when I was really young, flipping on the channel, and it was an earlier season, and there was like two players, and they're standing on these sticks in the ocean, and Jeff comes out and tempts them with like peanut butter and Oreos or whatever, and that always stuck in my mind for some reason. I hope I do not cave to that.
Well, the some reason might have been that they took off their clothes for said chocolate and peanut butter.
True, but I think I saw it live before it was like the controversy. Like,
yeah,
I remember it being on like VH1 100 most insane reality TV moments for sure. But yeah, I came on board around the time of David vs. Goliath.
Okay.
Which ironically enough is the Mike White season.
Yeah.
Who's like, I feel like I'm like maybe the reality of what School of Rock will do to like a 8-year-old or something. You know?
And there was the Rock Stars Alliance, so you just were truly inspired to be like the rock star.
You know. And that's still my favorite season, I think.
Yeah. Well, then give me, from the seasons you've seen, a winner and a non-winner that you associate yourself with the most.
Wow, that's hard, because if I could give a long story short.
Please.
There's like the characters that speak to me. I wouldn't say I associate or something, but like I'm sure you're going to get Carolyn a million times today. But like, I was interviewing around the time that was airing, and I remember seeing her and how she felt that first couple episodes where nobody's listening to her or whatever, but she was like still going for it. And like, that's how I felt my whole life, from being a kid and everybody telling you who you are and you'll be like, I'm not that,
Yeah.
And then some non-winners, Mike White. No, I'm kidding. But I really like Christian Hubicki.
Yeah.
I really like, I like Cody from 43.
You do give me a lot of like that Cody vibes, even though you're obviously from like the opposite coast, quite literally as him. Like that easygoing nature. I very much get a vibe of that.
And it's not like, I don't know if the easygoing comes from feeling like life is easygoing, but I just work on what I call transcendental shreditation, and it's just like, embrace it all and find the time to breathe and be in the here and the now,
Transcendental shreditation.
Yeah.
David Thoreau is like in his grave right now.
David Thoreau is like, damn, David Lee Roth outdid me,
Yeah, exactly. That's amazing. So what does that involve? Does that involve like your own finding your center, even outside of a musical perspective?
Totally. I mean, obviously shred is a musical term, but
right.
You'll probably hear on this season, it's like my verb for everything. Like, yo, let's go shred a fire or whatever.
So it's your Smurf, essentially.
10,000%. You couldn't have said it better. But, yeah, so it's pretty much just finding your center. I've been thinking like, my day-to-day, a big part of my routine is, listening to my favorite music or walking my dog or working out and definitely being in my comfort zone. At 31, I moved back in with my parents right at the beginning of the pandemic. I'm 31 now. So, constantly thinking about how crazy my life has been and then to still be in the confines of my parents' home. But it's a bit of just like that, finding your center, reminding yourself who you are. And I wonder how that's going to play out when I don't have, my Metallica songs or, my Oasis songs or any of those little...
You could pull a Gabler and hopefully find someone out here who at least pretends to listen to Metallica.
Oh my God, when I saw that scene, and like, I have this motto I tell my students, and it's like a creed the older version of me lives by. I wish the younger version of me did, but it's don't be a poser to yourself, And when I saw that, I was like, ooh, somebody who's pretending to be a metalhead's going to get caught real quick.
Yeah. What do you think is one life experience that has prepared you most specifically for this game?
I mean, if it isn't dealing with children in a rock band setting, then definitely being a starving artist even now, I just came back from playing a few shows in Europe, and I feel so grateful for it. But you never know what it's going to be like. You spend 8 hours in a car not talking, show up at a venue, hope that it's going to be packed. Sometimes it's packed, sometimes it's like 20 people.
Right.
But you still have to give it your all. And you never know if the promoter's going to stiff you. You never know if nobody's going to care. So it's really just a matter of just like sitting back and being like, okay, not going to attach myself to the outcome. That's the downfall of life. Trust that who I am in this moment is going to open the door it needs to open.
Is that your biggest superpower, you would say, in your life, is like your authenticity and trust in the process?
Maybe in my most recent years I feel so, because I feel like who I am now is a result of being somebody I wasn't happy with. You know what I'm saying? Being a poser, maybe.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I think when you're young and you're trying to make it in any business that's maybe in the public eye or something, you tend to play a character sometimes. Not everybody, but I definitely did. And like, I am who I am, but I would definitely take this up a notch sometimes.
Yeah.
And I've learned to just kind of let go of that. And now I feel like that's a thing. So hopefully when I'm starving, I won't get hangry. I'll be like, it's okay. Your hunger will lead you to food in the next challenge.
Right, going from starving artist to just starving over the course of 26 days.
Let's go.
Now, on the other side of that, what would you say is your biggest kryptonite?
My biggest kryptonite? I mean, I'm very sensitive and vulnerable. You know, I think maybe some people wouldn't say so because of how I carry myself. And I'm very like stoked on life, and I try to be, you know, happy all the time. But life isn't full of sunshine and stuff like that. And you know, for the longest time, I just had this fear of just rejection for being myself. So I hid behind my sunglasses and whatever persona, and maybe that's my kryptonite, is my vulnerability. But you got to make your kryptonite your superpower, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, listen, you saw with a lot of people in season 44 that ability to like use what might be perceived as a weakness to their strength. So like, there's certainly opportunities there, but it's got to be tough in this game when you have to make the tough decisions, and there's that emotional element associated with it.
And I think the thing is I think you have to play. Obviously, we all want the money. It could change our lives. You know, I'm starving for sure, and but you kind of got to play like the money's the afterthought, like the game's the personal journey. And like I said, trust in who you are. Hopefully, it works out. You know.
Yeah. What do you think people are going to perceive you as? Because you have a lot of experience, right, from like coming from the business, knowing that people will look at you as a brand, as a tone, as an artist.
Yeah.
How does that carry over to the beach for you?
Cartoon character. This is like the unmade Pauly Shore movie, you know, like
the Biodome sequel that was never made.
Yeah, exactly. Biodome, outwit, outlast, outshred.
Yeah, this is a very large Biodome, but you're essentially under one right now.
But how people perceive me, I think, you know, hopefully I try, you know, to not be so judgmental these days, and hopefully people just they enjoy the entertainment. And I hope, you know, if there's some kid out there who's insecure about picking up the guitar or is attached to the outcomes of life, to just remember everything's a journey, and I think the journey's more important than the outcome.
How are you going to use that perception on the island? Are you going to be like, I'm the easygoing rocker guy, no one's going to see me coming?
Yeah, definitely. That's how I've lived my life, is kind of like that tarot card, the Fool. You know, like you're unabashedly yourself, you're super stoked, and, you know, I'm not going to hide behind my catchphrases or anything, but it is who I am. Like, I'm not putting on a front, but I feel like there's a chance people are going to see me as this one-dimensional cartoon character and forget that, like, there's a self-aware and self-conscious human being under, and maybe the time to reveal that won't be when I'm in the middle of judgment, you know? So,
well, let's talk about some of your competition out here. When it comes to qualities that you're looking for in an alliance, do you have any? Are you specifically looking for, like, a ride or die, a number one person?
It's hard because obviously that would be great.
Right.
But also it's like, I call it surviving, right? Like
you were not good with those catchphrases, man.
You know, it's like I worry that if you find somebody you survive super hard with, that there's a target. But in an ideal situation, it would be like, you know, it'd be cool to meet somebody who's just like, you know, you click with. Maybe it's your background. Maybe it's your personal story. Maybe it's something you can't explain. And maybe it's like this greater good. It's like, you know, the Three Stooges alliance or whatever.
Yeah.
That was like, they were obviously on a tribe, but they also were able to look around and be like, we are not these quote unquote Goliaths on the outside, but like they came into themselves. And I wish I could give you an answer on what I'm looking for, but I think my feelings, for lack of a better term, I know I sound maybe a little bit like Samwise or something, but I hope my feelings will attract the right vibe. But a ride or die would be sick. I have this like crazy idea of what I call like, I would love to do a Travolta Cage blindside, like a face-off, where it's like you have an alliance, like a ride or die, and then like you pretend there's like this huge fight right before tribal,
Oh.
you know? So everybody's focused on the drama between the two people.
Yeah.
You know? And then that gives you the power in the vote because everybody's distracted, you know?
That is the honest comparison to Face Off I think I've ever heard in my life. I was like, this is getting gruesome. What are you doing with the machete?
It's like looking in a mirror, only not.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about maybe some of those other people that you're looking in your for your Castor Troy to. I mean, it's been a few days, right? You're probably making assumptions and perceptions of the people around you. Is there anybody in particular that you're looking at and you're like, I could vibe with you?
You know, everybody's been asking me what's my thought on the competition. And I think like a 25 or a 20-year-old me would have all these judgments and assumptions made.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, I saw some person reading a book on astrophysics or whatever, and I'm like, they don't look like a physicist. And then somebody else is playing a Game Boy, myself included, and it's like, I can't read the surface level vibe. And I know there's part of me that wants to, but I'm also like reminding myself that like, you can't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
And like, I don't want to go into this game with any assumptions or expectations because I feel like when you set up those kind of things in life, you know, you get knocked down. And hopefully you get up again and never get knocked out again. But
yeah, exactly. Well, when it comes to people maybe you don't want to work with, are there any qualities you might see in like someone that you are saying, this is why I want to vote you off?
I think, you know, in the last couple of seasons, there's the people who are, there's like, it's weird because confidence is a great thing.
Yeah.
But there's this thing that I always look out for with anybody who's like too sure of themselves, where it's like, are you so sure of yourself you're not open to another perspective or another variable? And it's like, I'm definitely drawn to people who, you know, are thinkers and, you know, feel and have emotions. Everybody does. I know where I'm trying to go with this.
Right.
But I think I'm drawn to like the here and the now, because let's say you are sure of yourself, but then some advantage pops out, and then it's like, you know, you didn't weigh out every option because you went in blindly, and it's like in life you kind of can never have your feet too grounded.
Let's talk about those advantages. Is that something you are like hungry to find? Do you feel like it's more of a curse than a blessing?
Oh, man, in the more recent seasons, it definitely feels like it's more of a curse than a blessing. You know, it's like, what was it? Matt in the last season lost a couple votes.
Yeah.
And it's like...
And found a fake idol.
And found a fake idol, you know? But then there's that birdcage one that's super dope. I mean, definitely if I'm presented with the opportunity, I think I'm going to take it because no risk, no reward.
Yeah.
But like, you know, a risk can bring you to your end too. And, but I think you don't come here to play a safe game, maybe a safer game in some options, but yeah, I definitely feel like I definitely want to have like one. Well,
I was about to ask, I give you a scenario where like first couple days on the beach, boat pulls up, right? Yeah. Somebody's going on a journey. Are you trying to volunteer? Or are you trying to get like someone else to
I've
go?
already thought like, what's my alibi going to be if it's me? You know what I'm saying?
Well, what is it? What's the alibi?
I haven't come to it yet.
Right.
Because I think it depends on who you're with. But like, if it is one of those, like, you know, if everybody views me as a fool, then I'm going to say I didn't take a risk.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it depends on who the other players are in that situation.
Yeah.
Sometimes those alliances you make on those, like when the boat comes and then you go to that island and it's the risk your vote, those people end up chilling hard after the merge. You know what I'm saying? So... I know. I feel like you want maybe some more solid answers,
but
I
please.
feel like
it's tough in the new era, right?
Yeah.
Like everything is so up for grabs, as Jeff would say, that it's tough to like settle into a hard and fast strategy because the second that you do, it gets thrown out the window.
100%, and that's the thing I keep coming to. Everybody's like, "What's your strategy going to be?" Even my parents. I'm like, I feel like I've been trained enough through my life experiences to have no expectations for any situation, but to be thrown into a variety that I'll understand the body language or the mannerisms or the expressions around me enough to make some sort of calculated decision in the heat of the moment.
Interesting.
You know?
I mean, have you been doing any preparation, or has it been really just like, to your point, I've been prepared for this?
I've been working out. I'm from Miami Beach.
Okay.
So I swam like 2 miles. I did all of South Beach the other day.
Wow.
It was not all of it, but like Ocean Drive to the pier. And just been working out, and in my workouts, I'll be like, shreditating on some simple mantras and just being like, you are who you are. You won't know until you're there. Because I guess a bit of my life story is I've always been so goal-driven. And I've accomplished a lot of those goals and felt empty after, because you get to the goal and then you're not celebrating in the moment. It's like your ego kind of benefits from it. And then your emotions and your soul were like already on a high before it happened. And it's like, I very much focus on literally the present. So, yeah.
When it comes to making those decisions, do you oftentimes have a process? Because, I mean, you have made a number of market decisions, as you talked about with me. Do you have a typical routine you go through, or is it almost always whatever my gut says I'm going to do?
I mean, I think about it hard.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the Queen's Gambit? And she's like playing chess like in the ceiling and weighing out every option. I kind of do it like that.
Interesting.
Just like sit there, see what comes up, and then be like, which one feels the most chill? Which one feels the most dangerous?
Yeah.
Which one is it?
If you could bring one celebrity or a fictional character out to the island as a loved one, who would it be?
A loved one?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I know you've invoked a certain hobbit's name many a time. I didn't want to jump to that conclusion, but...
Here's the thing. Imagine Frodo and Sam were on the island. Don't you think everybody would be like, yo, we got to break that up?
Yeah. I mean, first off, Sam can't swim, so I think he's going to be a liability in the challenges.
100%. Although I can see him holding on for dear life. Yeah. That is one challenge I really want to do.
Which one? The holding onto the pole?
The one where you're like, it's the grate in the water.
Oh, last gasp. Yeah.
I think... I don't know why, but it's just something I really want to go for the gold.
Well, that's like ultimate shreddation, right? That's like the ultimate form of mind over matter.
Yeah. But back to because if I bring David Lee Roth, that's like a terrible idea. He'd be like, all right, guys, let's party. And everybody'd be like, dude, we're trying to just chill now,
They might need that in that moment, though,
I know, but I think that would be me, right? And then if I get 10 seconds on this,
please
I'll
take
have
as much
a great
time
answer.
as you need, yeah.
Why? Who would you bring?
Oh, I've never had the question flip back on me. I mean, the late great Robin Williams is always. I'm always about lifting up prospects, especially because emotions are probably at such an all-time low.
Yeah.
But I always go for the answers of who's gonna make me feel the best.
Is this for to have in the game, or is this a loved one's visit?
This is a loved one's visit. This is
okay.
who's checking in on you.
No, that's all right.
This is not David Lee Roth becomes a contestant.
Yeah, I was about to say, man, wouldn't that be a great cartoon though? I have 5 in my mind.
No, go through the list, man. Get greedy here. You
Okay,
can bring a whole family
greedy.
here. Winners at War style.
Get greedy here? Okay, I'm down with Winners at War style. Fictional character. I'm going to go with real life character. Obviously, Nicolas Cage would be insane.
That would be...
that would be so sick. Then I would like to have Conan the Barbarian, Arnold 82, when he's up against the wall and he's praying to Crom,
right.
And he's like, 2 men stood against many, Because in my mixtape, it's nothing but epic movie quotes.
Yeah.
Then I would probably have Junior from Cool Runnings, so he could tell me to look in the mirror and be like, look in the mirror and tell me what you see and remind me who I am, right? And then... if I had to go with 2 more, I'm gonna throw Mike White a bone and go with Nacho Libre.
Jack Black's character?
100%, because it's in that movie it seems like he's motivated by greed and fame. That sounds like me in my early 20s. And then later in the movie it's he finds a higher power, a higher purpose,
right.
And to be reminded of who you are, and I feel like that movie's kind of a North Star for me.
Uh-huh.
And number 5... give me... Now, this wouldn't be so much an emotional one, but a marker of insanity. Aliens, Ellen Ripley,
Hell yeah.
And she showed up with the giant gun. It was we're about to slay the queen.
Yeah, get the hell away from my alliance mate.
That's what I'm saying. That would be man, that movie is the ultimate thrill and adrenaline.
Well, I hope, man, you get as much thrill and adrenaline out here in a very different setting. But this was so great to meet you, man.
Great to meet you,
I'm all
too.
good to go, dude. And you are as well. Thank you again so much. So nice meeting you.
I'm Ben. I'm an
Mike.
Aries. I like to chill
I'm
hard.
a Leo.
Good. We make a fire alliance.
Exactly. We'll make fire.
And then if there was a bonus one, maybe I'll put this on the mic. But maybe my most important answer is I have a dog named Splinter, right? Because he looks exactly like Master Splinter. Now, Master Splinter quotes are all over my mixtapes.
Yeah.
Keeping your emotions in check for the right reason, allowing yourself to feel. I think if I could have one fantastical guest above all, it'd have to be Ninja Turtles 1 and Secret of the Ooze Master Splinter.
Amazing. Yeah, Jim Henson style, right? Like
110%.
No weird, creepy, deepy
No
costumes.
CGI, no Willy Wonka crap, like straight up Master Splinter would be my choice.
Excellent note to end on, man. Thank you again, dude. All the best. So good meeting you, man.
Hope
enjoy
to
the
see
rest
you on the other side.
Oh, definitely. Enjoy the rest of your time here.